Yes. And yes. So what did we learn in the previous session? I would like to all of you to do a recap of the things. What do we mean by a system? That's we looked into. What do we mean by business systems? That's what we looked into further, right? So we discussed sometime somewhat in the last session that we usually come up with a system even without knowing it. Okay, we go to create a system to see to it that we are able to work consistently and productively on an ongoing basis, right? So it's developing a system is very instinctive, and further this these systems, okay, that we instinctively develop, it develops into positive habits for human beings. So further, after looking into the system, we also discussed about the benefits of a system. What were the benefits? Systems can grow business, okay. Essentially systems save time, then it takes care of the problems that we usually face, okay. It dodges actually into the problem, looks into the roots of the origin of the problem, what we can say is, and it improves productivity. So that's were the benefits of implementing a system in the day-to-day routine affairs of the business. Then we looked into a question as to what can or what should we systematize. So essentially, we can systematize all those routine things, okay, where we need not save our precious time. We shouldn't be using our precious time to handle the routine things. Okay, all those things further that consumes a lot of time, if we try to build them into a system that works on its own, further it will release more time for other important things to take care of business. All those things that frustrates you, you don't like to do the things on a repetitive manner, again could be systematized. And also the things which are beyond your core competency. So yes, if you do not want to do or you are not good at it, probably you can implement a system to take care of the things. Okay, then after looking into what do we understand by a system, we also looked into what do we mean essentially by a business system. In any business system, be it a manufacturing organization or a service organization, every business system has certain inputs, okay, inputs in the form of say men, money, material, information that flows into the business processes. So these are all the inputs. Then there is a processor in between that is implemented within the organization to take care of the inputs, to process the inputs, and further thereby come up with an output. Right now, this output could be either a product in case of manufacturing organizations, or it could be a services with respect to service oriented organizations. And so the output is either the products or the services that we are manufacturing, that we are rendering, either at a profit or a loss, right? So this is what we had covered with respect to the topics in unit 1. Now let us go to unit 2. So what are we going to discuss today? We will be discussing certain types of business systems. From systems, we arrived at business systems. So we will be discussing 4 to 5 business systems and how do they work. So you actually get an idea of business systems, why they are put in place, and what are the role that is being played by these business systems to assist the business organizations. Next, building your systems. Okay, how can you build your own systems so that you can be free? What do you mean by you can be free? That's where you can have your own precious time to do something extra important more important. Let the routine tasks be taken care of. Routine, boring tasks should be taken care of your business systems. Then what you need to essentially do is just have a control on the systems, identify the things where they could go wrong, okay, and keep a continuous check with respect to at different stages depending upon which system you are implementing in the business so that you can be free. Then what are the four people or categories, or you can say stakeholders of people, categories of people or stakeholders that the business systems are valuable to? Okay. So what are the who are the stakeholders who are going to value your business systems as such? Then after done with business systems, then we try to understand what do you mean by a system, okay, and a process. What's the difference between the two? Then we look into essentially the concept of business procedures. Okay, what do you understand by the procedure? What are the characteristics of a good procedure? Why procedures are that important, and limitations of procedures? And then we look into essentially two examples, major examples, with respect to procedures followed for purchasing of raw materials and procedure that is followed for recruitment of employees. Okay, so let's begin today. Let us start with types of business systems. Yes, so essentially we are going to look into 5 types of business systems today. Okay, first is the payroll business system. Can anybody tell me what does a payroll system do in any business organization? Everybody receive your checks at the end of the month, right? You'll get your checks, your salary is being calculated. All these things take place automatically. There is a system that is implemented to take care of these routine monthly tasks of with respect to the employees or the workers working in a business. So what goes into this business system? Yes, anybody? Or what are the components of the payroll business system? Or what could be the inputs to this system?
Leave management, time management.
Leave management, time management. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So time management, you are saying from perspective of a manufacturing organization?
Yes.
Okay. Okay. So as you said, a payroll system, it consists of, we can say, all the forms, okay, the procedures, all the files, all the equipments, okay, personally, and as well as computer support that is necessary to completely process the payment of employees, right? So a payroll system, it fully handles again not only as you said the records of the employees with respect to the number of days they have worked. When we say about time management, number of hours that they have put in case they have worked some extra hours, okay, the manner in which they have to pay, but also it takes care of all the tax deductions, the personal deductions, and the update of payroll data related to each and every employee working in the organization. So it provides for the actual payment of employees, a record of that payment, okay, the modification of all the payroll records, and the preparation of payroll reports as well. Not only that the records are kept, maintained, they are updated from time to time, but also reports are generated on a timely manner. Then the payroll system is also required to generate all the tax documents, okay, like Form 16, which are essentially important to fill up your individual returns. Another payroll responsibility is the accurate reporting of all the personal deductions, okay, to include, say, bonds, medical and life insurance, the profit planning, the profit sharing plans, the stock options, and all the other deductions that are related to the different kinds and types of employees. Now, these accumulated totals with respect to each and every employee, it has to be reported accurately to both, not only to the recipient of these deductions, where the deductions are made and paid on lump sum basis, either to the government or to the tax authorities, but also to the individuals from whose salaries these amounts are deducted. So the computer support helps it or makes it possible to accurately and promptly process a payroll. Okay, providing the input data, they are properly handled on a timely basis. So what could be the input data that goes into this computerized payroll system? The computerized payroll system takes care of everything, but provided you are very careful in giving the input to the system as such. What is the input that is being provided? Yes, the in and out time of the employees that usually takes place by the punching of the employees when they enter or exit the organization, the type of the employee that is fed, okay, then the shift of the employee that has been decided with each and every employee, the nature of appointment, the manner in which, whether it is on contractual basis or probation or whether it's a permanent employee and so on. So if these inputs are given correctly, okay, they are updated on a timely basis, then yes, payroll business system is there to take care of your routine transactions with respect to your employees on a timely basis. Yes. Next, we come to a personal business system. A personal system, now the word itself suggests that it is related to many of the persons or parties that are related to the business organizations. Now these parties, they could be either to whom the business is required to pay or from whom the business is required to receive. So personal system, it describes varied aspects of an organization's workforce. The outputs that are generated by the personal systems, they are frequently used in compiling the central and the state labor power reports. Retail organizations are the major users of accounts receivable systems because these systems, they give the details of the monies that are owed to an organization. Okay, exactly opposite or conversely, accounts payable systems, they focus on the monies that are owed to an organization or which the organization owes to its creditors. So these two systems are parallel to each other, requiring the continuous maintenance of files, their update, reporting on money is due and money is owed, okay, providing customer statements and invoices and recording the payments that are made with respect to the purchases that are made by the organization. Now, be it these purchases be regular purchases with respect to raw material that is required, or be it the purchases of the assets that are required to run the businesses. Okay, so essentially personal business systems, it consists of two types, accounts receivable and accounts payable. So now we come to accounts receivable system that is usually associated with the debtors with respect to the credit sales made to them. So in account receivable systems, they are the monitors of the flow of money that comes from the debtors. It monitors the people who owe money to the business. It provides the means to process all the data, okay, all the data based on which the sales, credit sales are being made, okay, be it on the basis of credit card or otherwise other kinds of charge accounts. Now the files contain the individual customer data. So what would be the input for an accounts receivable system? Individual customer data. Now, when we say customer data, essentially it would mean the names, the addresses, the financial charges in the forms of payments to be received from them. In case of late receipt of payment, what could be the charges that could be made on them, and so on, right? So now the information is used as a monthly statement of each customer, and it also provides useful information for management's use. So the management can later on decide whether should we continue selling our items on an ongoing basis, okay, to these customers. Are they making the payments on time within the credit duration that is given to them? If yes, then we can continue rendering services or selling products to them. If no, then we can stop the uh, necessary services to such type of customers, okay, which are creating liquidity problems for the business. So that's where accounts receivable systems can come up with the reports that will help the business organization to maintain its liquidity. Not only that, but it is from these systems that will help us in understanding the type of the customer, okay, the credit worthiness of the customer, but also what would be the liquidity that will be generated on a monthly basis, so that from this liquidity we are able to make the payment to our creditors, right? So that's the next system, that is accounts payable system. Now it monitors the organization to which money is owed, right? Now the file structures and the input output formats are exactly more or less similar to the accounts receivable system. It will contain, instead of customers, now essentially it will contain the accounts of the vendors, the suppliers to whom the money is to be paid. Okay, input will have goods that are received or the services that are received by the company or by the business organization, whereas the output with respect to the accounts payable system will include issue of payments and well as the management reports with respect to what the payments that are being made, are they made within the credit duration that is allowed to the customer, that is allowed by the suppliers to us. Okay, are we able, on the basis of that we will be able to identify, are we making a good use of the credit duration that is given to us? Are we paying a bit early? Should we be paying a little bit late? Are we having a good goodwill relationship that is being maintained by the suppliers, so that the suppliers will continue supplying on an ongoing basis without hampering the production processes, and so on, right? So reports generated by accounts payable system are of equal essential use for creating liquidity. And then next, the most important, all of them are equally important, but yes, when it comes to business, having an required inventory, required and essential inventory, so that not a lot is stocked, at the same time we are not falling short of the raw material, right, or the inventory, to see to it that the production process carries out on an evenly basis. So that's where we use our inventory systems. Inventory system, they monitor the status of items that are held in an inventory. These systems, they report on what? Essentially the quantity of the goods, okay, the raw material, or WIP, or even the finished goods. And inventory will consist of everything that are held that are by the business organizations in their warehouses, okay, as well as the items. So with respect to raw material, what is the duration by which we should be replenishing our stock without hampering the production processes? Okay, what are the critical items that are needed? What is the movement of these items of different items of inventory, raw material, work in progress of finished goods, and according to the flow or according to the turnover or according to the movement of these items, how should we or when should we be borrowing the inventory. Now this inventory, it has to be borrowed in such a way that not a lot of funds should get blocked in the inventory, right? At the same time, the production processes shouldn't be hampered. Now, what is the cost that goes into the inventory system? Can anybody come up with the costs? When we are procuring inventory and when we are maintaining them in the warehouses for the production processes, what are the costs that essentially go into the inventory system? Voice is not being come. Am I audible, students?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Yes,
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, fine. That's what I received a message in the chat box. Okay. So what are the costs that goes into an inventory system? Not only you have to make the payment for the cost of raw materials that you are procuring, but also you need space whereby you are paying rent to store it. In case there are certain special arrangements that are required to be made in order to stock the inventory. It could be you need to prepare certain bins, or it could be certain cold storage that you are required, right? So essentially costs related to that. Remember the costs of electricity, okay, the cost of people that are working in the warehouse where you are making payment to them. At the same time, depending upon the nature of inventory that you are carrying, many a times you are also, it is always on a safer side to have an insurance with respect to your inventory. So in case anything goes wrong, any abnormal thing that happens, okay, loss by theft, loss by fire, by on account of floods and so on. So that's where your insurance coverage is always there to take care, to replenish the things, right? So there are n number of costs that goes into the inventory, and that's where the inventory, the reports generated by the inventory system are going to help you to take care of, to see to it that you are essentially holding inventory in such a way that you don't spend much on the costs. At the same time, production process goes on an ongoing basis, right? So these are the different types of business systems that are generally that are being used by all the business organizations, right? Payroll, because yes, essentially each and every business organization will be having people working with them. Then personal business systems, account receivable and payable, and inventory system. Okay, then when we speak about a system, okay, there's a common saying, okay, that says why systems are essentially important, because your products, your services will help you to make your money, no doubt about it. How distinguished your product will be, okay, is it able to take care of the demands that are placed by the customers? Yes, if you are able to satisfy them, they are helping you to make money, they will help you to generate profits. But then you need systems in order to make a good fortune in the business. Why? Because systems will essentially save your time and help you to come up with, keep on an ongoing basis, to keep up coming up with something new, right? Now that's where we can take an example of McDonald's. So one of the poster for a good system, we can say one of the best example is a McDonald. Okay, McDonald, it's a multi-billion-dollar operation which is run essentially by young teenagers. Now these teenagers, they belong to that lifespan, okay, where they cannot be even trusted to make their own beds. But then still they are able to run a franchisee with respect to McDonald's. How does this happen? Now it happens with business systems. Now their operation manuals, okay, cover everything. Operation manuals of McDonald's, okay, which will have the entire details, which will cover everything, right from hiring to product delivery to customer interaction. Everything, how do we do that? What are the necessary things that you need to follow? What are the steps? Where can you go wrong? Everything has been mentioned over there. So what these systems do is they allow McDonald's to provide a consistent experience. Okay, today we have Mr. A, Mr. B, or Mr. C working, but still, even if the people vary, okay, the experience that is generated by McDonald's, it still remains the same, whichever place you go. So you know that when you walk into McDonald's, okay, what happens? Whatever you order, be it the Big Mac, be it the French fries of your choice, or even the nuggets that you will be ordering, they will always remain the same. How is this possible? Yes, because they have got the right systems into the place. These systems, they explain all the repetitive tasks, the procedures are being laid down, okay, and they are followed. These systems, they are followed by the employees as and how they keep on changing. So whether you like the food or you don't, you always know that any McDonald's you go to, they are going to deliver a consistent experience. Okay, be it the difference in a country, be the difference in the city, but when you know McDonald's, yes, you are sure, you have that trust that this is what I am going to get. Be it with respect to the products that you're ordering, or be it with respect to the manner in which you are treated, the ambience that is being generated. All right, you are very much sure. Now this takes place with right types of systems that are being followed, with the varied types of employees, okay, with varied cultures that whichever country they are working into. So building systems can let you be free to do something new, to come up with something that is going to improve the productivity of your business. Now let us look into what are the 4 stakeholders, okay, that your business systems are valuable to. Who are going to value your business systems? First category, okay, is you, yourself, right? The owner of the business, because you don't want to be people reliant. What do we mean by that? You don't want to rely on people. If people do their work efficiently, good, but what if they don't do, they are not down to your expectations, right? It would mean that you can expand your business, just set your business, hand it over to the people, have systems in place. They will explain the people how to take care of the business, the manner in which it is conducted. You attach the salaries and the extra benefits to the employees based on the basis of the systems that they are following. Okay, and then you can expand your business, and then you can escape to the next one, right? So you can franchise or license your business, an additional cash injection that you can look forward to with the systems in place. So that's the reason systems are of extreme importance, very much valuable to the owner itself. You meaning the owner. Then the incoming staff, the people that are joining your business organization. So you want to, as an owner, you would like to pass on something over to a recruit. Every new person that is being recruited, you will like to pass on something to this new recruitment and say, this is how we do it here, right? That there is a, during the induction process that we discussed last time, okay, what happens? That's where the entire explanation with respect to the expectations of the business from its employees are being set, right? So where they are going to explain and tell you, this is how we do it here. This is our checklist. These are the things we would be checking essentially. This is our processes that's what you are required to take care of. Or this is the procedure that we usually follow. Okay, be it to order something or be it to apply for leave. Okay, and it's very, very important that you are able to do that. Not only you are able to do that, but you, with that explanation, you are going to make that person feel very much homely, as if they are knowing this from a long time. So you don't have to train the employees thereby. They just need to follow the procedure that is outlined or given in the document. And because you have mapped it out, right, you have created the system, it is easier to pick up the system, to pick up the module, to pick up the standard operating procedures that you have generated and just run with it. Okay, just hand it over to the every new employee and make him a part of the family, a family which works as a manner in which you want them to work, you want them to deliver, and so on. So thereby now once they are set into the system that is created by you, you are not people reliant. You don't depend on whether they would be or whether no. These are the things, these are the things that you are required to follow. This is the output that we are looking at, and in order to achieve the output, you have to follow the procedure that has been given. That's it. Okay, so someone can decide to leave even your organization, and still your businesses won't stop functioning with the help of the systems, right systems rather, that are in place. So the recruit, he can pick up where the last person has left off, and that's a great place to be in, because he's aware of, okay, he is made aware of what is expected of him, and not only what is expected from him as an employee, but the manner in which work is being expected from him. So there are very, very little chances, or rather no chances, of going wrong with the standard operating procedures handed over to the employees. Okay, so first one was the owner. Second is the incoming staff or the employees that you will be having in order to take care of your business. Third one, the most important stakeholder of business is the customer. Why? Customer is the king. We are aware of this. So your customers, because each process ensures that you deliver a consistent results with every interaction, just as we have taken the example of McDonald's. Your customers know what to expect, okay, from you, from your business, and that in return it creates a loyalty towards your business. But you can also use your systems document as a byproduct, which a coaching client, say for example, can implement into their business. So you're not only advising your client that this is the manner that things can be done, but you are also saying that, look, this is how we have done this. Okay, it's our gold, it's our standard that we are being following for years together. That's the way in which we are building up relationships. We have had great success using this methodology, and you can too, right? So when you enter into discussions with your clients, with your customers in such a way, so it's a big motivator for the clients to choose you, okay, for their needs rather than your competitor, right? So that's where again systems are going to help you, because every time you are going to explain something, you are, any query that is raised by the customer, you are going to say, okay, this is the case, we have our systems in place, we will immediately identify where things are going wrong and we get back to you. So that's where the customers, once they are aware of the systems, essentially they are going to come to you because they have that trust, that loyalty that comes with the systems that are being used by you to take care of the businesses, right? And then the most important, potential investors, people who invest their money, people who share their savings to you for doing business. So they are not just buying the customer base, which is really a historical document, or the revenue, which is again a historical document that is created by business. The financial statements, that is what they are looking into. They are buying a system that generates new leads, new prospects, and customers, and a process for delivering the products and services. So now that makes the business dramatically more valuable to the prospective purchasers. And this is your ultimate customer. It's the person who puts you out of the business and writes you that big check that makes you leave and do something else. Okay. So some of the biggest fortunes that have been created when the owners have either sold or they have licensed their companies. But if management depends on you to be present to do things, to get things done, it is really a self-made job and worthless to investors. So it is said that to start with the end in mind, and you remember that technology has created more millionaires and billionaires than anything else with the system in place. Okay. So learn how smart entrepreneurs use technology to create value in their organizations and to set up their time free to come up with new inventions and discoveries. So yes, so let us now recap. The startups and the small businesses, okay, that win in marketing are the ones that do simple things consistently. Okay, have you have to give a consistent experience, be it your employees, be it your customers, or be it your potential investors. They get them done not because of the willpower, but because of a business system. So that's where you can think of system as your secret weapon, your Iron Man suit that will help you to punch above your weight. Systems let you put much of the repetitive and tedious tasks on an autopilot mode. And that's exciting because it frees up your time to focus on coming up with new vision, a new way of doing things. It could be a new market to serve. It could be a different type of customers or a products, diversification, expansion, and so on, right? Whatever you think of, business systems in place will help you to do that. So Jim Rohn says that success is nothing but more than a few simple disciplines practiced every day, whereas a failure is a few errors in judgment that is repeated every day. So don't repeat your errors of judgment daily. Just put in a few simple disciplines, okay? Practice them, start documenting your processes, start putting together your marketing system if you want to achieve success in your business. And make sure, most important is making sure that you are using technology to reduce friction, to create a more consistent experience for your clients and deliver a wow experience. Okay. Now, can anybody tell me what has the manner in which technology is being used in education field in the pandemic? How are systems put in place to deliver education to the candidates? What are the different resources that have opened up from the students' perspective? And what are the benefits of the business systems, the technology that is put in place so that education is open, made open for all? Can you all give me a few examples since you are a part of it? How is an education business system, okay, valuable to customers? Who are the customers in the education? Essentially the students. So how has technology helped us to do this? Yes.
Ma'am, Anurag here.
Yes.
Like we can take the example of the present scenario. Right
Mhm.
now, we have been taking lessons from you on the online mode. This is what
Okay.
helps us. This is what helps us in distance learning.
Okay.
So
Yes.
this can be the education. This can be our system.
So
Like wh-
yes, parting education, making use of technology and building systems, okay, where educational institutions had to come up with these systems, be it monitoring the attendance of the students, monitoring the sessions, recording the sessions that are taking place so that the same sessions can be delivered to the students as and when required as a revision. This has helped in the current pandemic, not only the educational systems to continue parting education without the teachers and the students actually being in an offline mode. Okay, this is one aspect of it. Second aspect of it is essentially they are able to cut down on the costs of delivering education. Third, cutting down on cost. Third, people like you who are where it's a must that you need to do your jobs. Need to be on your own feet, right? They are able to educate themselves even after the work timings, okay, where they can listen to the sessions. Now it's no more a must that you have to go, you have to travel to the colleges, sit down over there, get your attendance being marked. It's possible for you, even if you are in transit, even you are commuting back from your office or moving towards your office, you can listen to the online sessions, right, and make most effective use of the time that you have or the traveling time, right? Now apart from this distance education, there are libraries that have been made open and that are free. There are different courses that have been delivered like Coursera, like Udemy, right? So you can go to the course of your choice. Okay, multidisciplinary courses are available where you can not only register yourself, but you can take the course at your own leisure within the given duration whenever you are free. At least for these sessions, you have to be there, present actually, or at least logged into so that you can listen to the things. But with these Udemy and Coursera courses, you can at your leisure, at your timings, whenever you feel like, you are able to, you are given the, what you say, the flexibility to pick up a session, look into the things, submit your assignments online, right, and take care of the things. So that's where education field, there is a disruption, we can say, with on account of pandemic. No doubt sessions were taking place. Apart from this, you can have guest sessions even from IIM Ahmedabad. You can register yourself with the course and you can listen to the guest sessions from the experts from there. Okay, even there are management development programs, faculty development programs that could be conducted with the help of online education and systems that are in place. Yes, so that's how systems create value, not only to the owner of the system, the employees, hardly there are any employees required, but yes, whoever are the employees that are required to build the system, at the same time to monitor and take care of the system, then the customers and the potential investors who are investing their savings into the generation of or creation of the system as such. Okay. So yes, so that's where there are many venture capitalists available right now when some of the businesses are down. Okay, there are many chances that during the pandemic also new ideas and new entrepreneurs are coming up with something new to take care of the things in the current situation. Again, they are even making the use of technology. Now, how technology is being used, we'll see when we come up with a few more examples as we proceed. So now after done with systems, to whom the systems are valuable to, after looking into the systems as such, now let us look into what's the difference between a system and a process then, right? So a process is a conceptual sequence one after the other. Once A is done, you can go to B. Once B is done, you can go to C. So a conceptual sequence of events that enables a people in a business to do what they do. Okay. So most of the time, you are not aware that they are there until some subject like this business systems and procedures, we can say that it comes and it tells you that yes, it is the system that is taking care of this. Say for example, the way a support request gets handled in a process. Okay, what happens? There is an input, a request has been made by the customer. Okay, some work sequences that are being followed. So there is essentially a sequence, a manner in which this request is being processed, and then there is an output taking care of or a satisfied customer who has actually received the solution to the query that has been raised by him. So now let's make it more concrete. Okay, say in a company, Mr. Shannon, he handles the customer care requests. Okay, a customer may write and ask whether he can send them the download link to a product that they bought after they had lost or misfilled their purchase. Okay, so the purchases that they have customer has made is lost. Okay, then that's where the customer is making a request. So what can Shannon do for them now? Shannon locates their order when they had ordered it. Then he will further confirm whether they have whether they have bought it. Have they made the payment for it? He sends them the link and then he ensures that they got what they needed. So if in case they haven't received it at their end and it gets lost somewhere in between, a customer can always approach, and a person like Shannon with the systems that are built in the organization, okay, he can always help a customer with the necessary details. So all of that we are looking into right now, right from customer raising the request getting processed by Shannon with the help of the systems that are in place, okay, and the customer receiving the right information, okay. This is nothing but a sequence of events which is called as a process. Now, this process, it consists of n number of sub-processes, right? So systems are what's used to execute the process. Now, a process is a sequence, and the execution of these processes is taken care of by the systems, right systems. Okay. So, as a general rule, processes, when you have a standardized set processes, they take care of, we can say, or they address the effectiveness, right? But whereas a system, if you are having a right system in place, then you can say that it's taking care of or it's addressing the efficiency with which you are working. So if you are doing the right slower than it could have been done otherwise, okay, then you have to work on your systems. If you are doing right slower than they could otherwise would have been done, okay, then you have to work on your systems. But if you're working fast, but not really getting anywhere, in spite of working fast, then you have to work on your processes, right? So that's the difference between a system, okay, and a process. So now essentially the next part after the process and the system that we would be looking into is a procedure. So what do we mean? We will be looking into the definition, the characteristics, the importance of business procedures thereby. So procedure, it refers to a comprehensive set of instructions, okay, a comprehensive set of instructions that will prescribe a certain way of performing a process or a part of the process in relation to time. So it states a chronological sequence for undertaking the activities so as to achieve the objectives of any business organization. Now, let us take a look at the procedure. Yes. Please go through this and then explain what is this procedure telling you. This is a good diagram I thought for the concept of a business procedure. Just go through the entire flow chart. It gives a bird's eye view of a business procedure, procedure for accepting the customer's orders. So it is, as the definition says, a comprehensive set of instructions which prescribes or which explains a certain way of performing a process. Okay, so now that's where we look into the procedure. A telephone order is received, or it could also be that fax or a letter order is received. So essentially, or the third one is email order is received. Okay, so three types the order can be received in three ways, either through email, fax or a letter, or a telephonic order. Okay, now what could happen to them? Let us discuss one by one. Okay, you try to establish the nature of telephone call after receiving it. Okay, you have received the telephonic call, they have given the information, but then there is no order that is being placed. Okay, so what you do, you redirect the telephone call, or there is no order being placed on account of query. So this query needs to be handled. So that's where the telephone call gets redirected. Then in case you receive the telephone call, but it's not related to you or your business, it's a wrong number. What will happen? You terminate the telephone call. It gets terminated. Then in case it relates to your business, they are asking, they are ready and they have ordered for your product. Okay, then what would be the next step? Verify the order, whether the order is for a valid product. If yes, it's for a valid product, then you verify the registered customer. If it's not for the valid product, then what will happen? You reject the customer order. If yes, you verify the registered customer. Okay. If the customer has come to you for the first time, what happens? You submit the application for customer registration. In case it is, if you have verified the customer's orders, yes, if you are already received order from this customer previously, then what do you do? Then you verify, do you still want to sell your service or product to these customers? Look into the credit rating of the customer. If the credit rating of the customer is good, okay, then you verify whether the product, do you have the valid product? If you have the valid product, yes, then you look into the stock. Do you have the stock of that product? If yes, then you confirm the acceptance of your order. Then you authorize the dispatch of the product and the customer order is accepted and things are delivered. Now, if the credit rating of the customer is bad, okay, then what happens? He has not paid you your previous bills. So what you do? You request a payment of the outstanding balance. You can say that yes, this is the amount which is still pending from your side. We are ready to process your order, but yes, essentially for that, we will need you to take care of your debts first. Okay. If he says yes, okay, then you verify whether you are having the product that is being ordered by him, and then the same procedure is followed. But if no, okay, if yes, you say yes. If no, then you reject the customer order. Okay, then next, again, check for the alternative product. If you don't have an alternative product, then reject the customer order. If yes, you are having the alternative product, then you verify the stock. So if the said product is not there with you, you are not essentially going to say no. You are not going to lose your customer. You are going to look into the alternative. Okay. Then further, verify the status of the stock. If you are having ample of stock, then you say yes, and then you confirm the acceptance of the order. But then if you don't have the stock, again, you don't let the customer to go. You will check whether the customer can wait till you come up with the next lot of stock that he desires to purchase from you. If no, then you reject it. So this is an entire business procedure, okay, that is made up of the entire process with its sub processes, okay, which explains the manner in which the process of accepting the order has to be performed. Fine. Okay. So in the next session, we will be essentially looking into the characteristics of a business procedure, of a good business procedure. So that's where we will stop over here for today. Okay. Yes. Thank you, class.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you so much,
Thank you,
ma'am.
ma'am.
Thank you, ma'am.
Welcome.